It's time for Transport Line, the program that showcases the contributions of most of transportation to the socio-economic growth and development of our nation, Africa, and the world at large. Transport Line is being transmitted from the Center of Excellence, the state of aquatic splendor, and Africa's fifth largest economy, Lagos. I am Shino Elegbede. Thanks for being part of the program. Well, I say happy May Day celebration amid fuel scarcity and all we face in the country today. Like Osibisa sang in the early 80s, people say everything is all right, but I say things could be better right now. Our main focus today is on the aviation sector amidst signs of aircraft landing, skidding up the runway, aircraft making emergency landing. These were the ominous signs we had about almost 2 decades ago, to be precise, 10th of December 2005, when Sosoliso aircraft crash landed and we lost over 107 passengers. So, how do we nip this in the bud? I have with me, through Zoom, retired Group Captain Ojikutu. He's an aviation expert and United Kingdom Royal Air Force trained aviator. He was one time airport commandant of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport and former scribe of the Aviation Roundtable and Initiative. Group Captain Ojikutu retired is our guest. You're welcome to the program, Group Captain.
Good evening to you and good evening, viewers.
Yes, thank you very much. Group Captain, the issue of safety and security at the Nigerian aviation sector is giving a lot of people concern. How do you rate the safety and security aspect of the Nigerian aviation sector presently?
I think I rate it as being fair. Safety issue, and the responsible authority, which is the SAA, is doing its best. So also on the security sector. The question is whether we are meeting the global standard. It's only a kill based on the last estimate, the last audit that can determine that. We've done so much well in the past. So much well in the past, and when I mean in the past, at least up to the middle of the 28th century, or the 21st century. We've done so much. We have done a lot. Somehow along the line, because of certain challenges, which I always refer to in terms of skilled manpower in sufficient number, like we used to say in the past, we do not have it. We do not have adequate manpower, adequate skilled manpower to man or to enforce some of the regulations. That is our major problem, and we need to face that very seriously. We need to face that very seriously, both with the operators and at the same time with the enforcement authority, which is the SCA. A major problem has been lack of shortage of manpower. And all this thing, as far as I'm concerned, whether anybody wants to believe it or not, is caused by the political interference in the operations of the operators, political interference in the management of the agencies, political interference in the career progression of the agency. That is our major problem.
I did make reference to the December 10th Sosoliso air disaster of 2005. And before that incident happened, these are the type of issues we had, air returns, crash landing, emergency landing, aircraft landing, and skidding off the runway. Then that time I could recall that Captain Dumeri was brought in, He seems to have stabilized the aviation sector then. But today, as the sweeping change in the headship of the Nigerian aviation sector has anything to do with what's happening today, you remove the DG of NCAA, Fan to go, it went, and others. Has that got anything to do with it?
Exactly what I have said earlier. There have been too many interferences from the political office holders. If you go into history, from what you have just said now, we have had between the year 1999 or 2000 and now, we have had close to 15 ministers. Close to 15 ministers. That will tell you that we are having average of about one minister for every 1.5 years. Maybe not in the last 8 years, which we had a minister for almost 8 years, if not more than 8 years. And we have just had one now. But from my own calculation, the number of ministers we have had between the year 2000 and now is almost about 15. And you go to the agencies too, it is the same thing. It is the same thing. The DG in NCA, from that period till now, we are counting almost about 8 or 10. You go to FAN, it's the same thing all over. So what I'm saying is that there has been too much political interference, that the career progressions of some of these people are not enjoyed by the management. So that is a major problem. If the political office holders can stay off, if they can stay off, then we wouldn't be having some of the problems we're having now. Let me give you a typical example of what I'm saying now. In the year 2006, 2007, we noticed that a particular agency had a shortage of about 300 air traffic controllers. Let me be very specific now. Over 300 air traffic controllers. And that was at a time when we had about 18 airports. We had shortage of 300 controllers. There were so many recommendations that were made that were not fulfilled till today. Between that time and now, we have opened several other airports, both by the federal government and the states. And FAN has been mandated to man all this, to manage this airport. Similarly, NAMA, to man the controllers and the control tower of this airport. So if you have moved from about 18 to about 26 airports today, it means you need more controllers. The question I've been asking is that between 2000, when you had a shortage of 300, how many have you been able to fix in? How many have you been able to train to fix that gap? How many of those people that were there have retired? So there's a problem that nobody is looking at it as if as something that is very serious. But everything everybody looks into, particularly the political office holder, is how to spend money on what? On infrastructures. On infrastructure that will not last the test of time. How many people have they trained? You need well-trained and better trained people in NCAA, where you have people that do oversight function and enforcement of the regulation. They should be more experienced than the people on the field. Go and find out how many do they have. There are more experienced people in the field than the people that they have in NCAA. But whether they want to accept this or not, as far as I'm concerned, like I said, the results of ICAO, the last ICAO, is actually going to come up to tell us where we really are. I told them, if your report does not come out within 15 to 30 days, as far as I'm concerned, because I have done this thing before, it means you have not done well. It's over 1 month now. It's going to almost about 2 months now since all this audit has come up now. Eventually, we are waiting for when the report will come out. Let us face the reality. We need the challenges in the aviation security is much more than what we are talking about the airlines. The airlines are private. If the NCA is working the way it's supposed to work, we should have a problem with the airline. We should not have a problem. If you are doing a thorough oversight and enforcement of the regulation, there should be no problem. But for as long as you do not have adequate manpower in the NCA to carry out oversight and enforcement of the regulation, some of the challenges we are having will have it. examples of runway excursion of the last one. We have had this several times. It's not a new thing that an aircraft has excursion of the runway. It's not a new thing. Quite a lot of things happen like that in other countries. We don't hear news about it. When it happens, it becomes news. But the question is, when because an aircraft has an excursion of the runway and is being suspended by the minister, not by the agency responsible for it, then there's a problem. Excursion of the runway may not necessarily be caused by the aircraft itself. There are other factors. What about the surface of the runway? How good is it? From what I heard, that runway was derubberized on Sunday, just 2 days before that problem happened. Just 2 days before that incident of Ghana happened. And I have asked that question. When you derubberized it, was it inspected, was it certified by the responsible authority, which is NCA? And who did that derubberization? Is the person who did the derubberization, is he qualified to do it? Is it certified by NCA? There are a lot of things we need to ask questions for. Instead of rushing to do that, they will have waited for the, what do you call it? The investigating authority, the NISB, to come out with a report before you start doing that. But there seems to be a set-up mind somewhere to do what the minister did. And I said, he has no power to do what he did. He should have left it for the NSIB and the NCA to conclude the investigation. Based on the investigation, we can now react to it. The aircraft overrun the runway. Why? Something must have happened. They said the nose wheel. What caused the nose wheel? The runway. Are you sure there was no hole there? The judge did rubberization when? The judge did rubberize it on Sunday. And this thing happened on a Tuesday. When you did that, when you derubberized it, was it certified? Are you qualified to do it and open it immediately? Somebody has to, it's just like an aircraft. An aircraft is due for maintenance, you maintain it, you cannot put it in the air without the certification of the NCA. So we do all sorts of things because we have some political cover up somewhere or somebody that is covering us up. But meanwhile, we are playing with the life of people. We are playing with the life of people. We shouldn't put politics into all these things. Let us do it the way it is. As far as I'm concerned, the minister has no authority, has no power to do what he did on Ghana aircraft. The only person, the only authority is the NCAA. He should have allowed the NCAA to come out with its own report, or the NSIB to come out with this investigation, which he will send to NCAA. NCAA will now be the one to now come up before the minister can act. So what has happened along this line does not portray us as people who really know what we are doing in this country.
It's amazing someone how we used to put the cart before the horse. Like you said, the normal global standard practice is not followed. And to the average air travelers outside there, they just say, is that airline is not well being managed and what have you. So what are the short, medium, and long-term solutions you recommend?
Let me put safety separately from security, because all of them, they seem to be interwoven. Like I always tell most people, that without security, you cannot get safety. That is my own knowledge of what aviation security is. Without security, you cannot get safety. Everything boils down to oversight function and enforcement of regulation by the responsible agency. We should let the NCA do his job. If NCA doesn't do his job, any other thing anybody is doing from outside is an interference, and we cannot get to anywhere. It's an interference. Because as far as we are concerned in this country, as far as the global standard is concerned, when it gets to this level, ICAO comes here to come and talk to the responsible authority in aviation, not the ministry. They come here to come and talk to NCA, not the minister. If they just go and see the minister, he just pay the courtesy visit. It has nothing to do with the professional job. In most countries, aviation is not separated from the Ministry of Transport. We had it how many years ago that we should have intermodal transportation. What does one ministry for it? for all the transportation system, both marine, road, rail, and aviation. In most countries, aviation is kind of separated from the others because of its global standard, including marine, because of this global standard and practices. And all those things are embedded in the authority that are responsible for the oversight and enforcement of the regulation, not the ministry. So unless we are able to identify this, we cannot move forward. So the only way, whether it is security, whether it's safety, is for us to be able to have an autonomous agency responsible for oversight and enforcement of security. I mean, enforcement of both security and safety regulations. That is the only way. For me, there's no any other shortcut other than that. No any other shortcut. If we try to do it the way we are doing it, we'll be having problems like we have been having for the past how many years now? Since about 20 what? Well, like I always tell you, since Dr. Demure left. Because when Demure came, between the period Demure was there and when he left, we didn't have all this interference. And I know him very well, even before I became a military airport commandant in 1990. I know him very well. That he stands where he stands. You understand? Even with presidents, he stood where he will stand, where the regulation puts him. He stays there, and nobody has interfered the way we are seeing this type of interference now. I've never seen it. There was some minister that I felt that they were doing certain things that I've never seen it this way. That an accident happened, then the minister is now sanctioning somebody. No, he has no that authority. Leave those people that are responsible for that job. Let them do their job. Let them do their job. And I'll be surprised to hear something different from what we are, to have something in line with what you have just done. The minister has no power over any operator. He has no power over any operator.
Group Captain Ojikutu, we thank you very much for finding time to talk to us on Transport Line. In subsequent episodes, definitely we shall be looking at how the aviation sector has fared in the past almost first year of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration as the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Thank you very much for your time, sir. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Now, before we round up the program, a few days ago, a Nigerian who has been more or less globetrotting via the aviation sector came in to assess the infrastructural development of the Nigerian aviation sector. This segment will wrap up this program. Today, we're going to take a look at various airports. And we're zeroing on the major one, number one in Nigeria, which is the Muritala Mohammed International Airport. And I have with me in the studio, call her Bisia Ajala, female, travel around the world. You know, Titi Aloba, she loves traveling a lot, especially through the aviation sector. That's the mode she really operates in. So, Titi, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir. I like the way that you introduced the segment we'll be talking on, and I think it's really interesting that you specifically said we'll be focusing on the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. Now, for me, I've been going through that airport since 1996 on a regular basis. And of course, there's been a lot of changes, which I welcome, because I remember the days of no electricity at the airport, which also meant that the carousels weren't working. So when you come in, first of all, we had the lanterns, which I hadn't seen in decades, with which to try to find your luggage. But also you almost had to step over people to get to the carousel to, pick your own luggage. There were not actually people to help you. To now today, we have Wi-Fi at the airport. Now it doesn't always work, but it's there. And then there's room for improvement. So I think that we've come a long way in the aviation sector.
In those days, I just chuckled when you talk about using lantern with a view. How's the condition of the conveyor belts, the officials, immigration, custom, what have you. How do you assess them?
So I would like to assess them based on Nigeria, then I can assess them based on my experience in other places. So based on Nigeria itself, my experience is that the conveyor belts, so I was just here a couple of months ago, I was here in November, it worked, no issues. And it was perfect, my M3, everything was smooth, starting with when I landed at the airport. At that point, though, we had like the remote transport. So we landed and then we came out of the plane on the tarmac and then we were shuttled in by bus to the actual terminal. And then once we arrived, getting through customs, immigration, and I hate to say this, but it's the truth of the matter is that when you land, people will say, oh, you're from America, what did you bring? Do you have some dollars for me? And I remember like maybe this was in, I want to say it was 2021 because that was the last time I came before November. And, there was a big banner right behind this guy that I'm talking to, which says there is no place for corruption in whatever. And this man was literally asking me, what did you bring for me? I was like, does it not say right behind you? But again, that's a whole different story we can go into. So this time around, I have to say, since then, I have not experienced that. You walk to the person you need to go to and, you hand over your international passport or your Nigerian passport or whichever one according to how you're coming in. They look at it, you have your documents in order, it's not an issue, you go on to the next person. Now the only thing that was confusing for me is that I don't know who's customs and who's immigration. It doesn't say. So it's kind of like, go here. And then you walk there like, no, go there. And then you go there and it's like, no, go back there. And you're like, okay, where was I supposed to go? But again, it's a smooth process, There are people at each station doing what they're supposed to be doing. Nobody's waiting for you to hand them a bribe before they do their job. And then you pass through, and once we came out on the other side, now unfortunately the conveyor belt wasn't working this time around. But there was somebody there that was, kind of pulling it out. Once it gets to the top, pulling it out and placing it. And then I guess after, and I don't know if it's related to electricity, I can't tell. But after a while, the belt was working. And then, it moved really fast. Again, like passing through the airport nowadays, I don't think I have spent up to 30 minutes from the point at which we touch down and taxi to the tarmac to when I'm walking out of the doors of the airport, like getting into a car. So I think that is brilliant in the Nigerian sense. Now, if I was to compare it to somewhere else, like let's say the US, for instance, the difference for me is that I know exactly where I'm going because there's signage. There are pictures and there are words and it's in different languages. And also you hear the audio telling you where you are at the airport, where you need to go and things like that. So that helps you. So like, for instance, if I'm someone that's not conversant with that country, at some point I'll probably hear a language that I understand telling me exactly what to do next. That is amazing. That really helps. And also for me, also when you're looking at maybe elderly travelers, because in my travel, I've come across people from here who, once they see me, because I wear a badge at my workplace, you can see my name. And once they are able to read my name, they immediately go into Yoruba and start asking me, I'm familiar with Atlanta Airport. They start asking me where they need to go, what they need to do. Unfortunately, I have to say, I don't live at the airport. I don't know. But I will walk with you to someone that can help you. So I guess if in America we were to have Yoruba translation, that would help. But beyond that, I can find my way around any airport, anywhere in the world. And now just taking it further, I was in Seoul, Incheon, last year, I believe. And you know what? For me, what really blew my mind was that they have robots to carry your luggage.
They have what?
Robots.
Robots.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
So it's like a little thing and you put your luggage on it. And once you put it on, it basically follows you around the airport. So you're just strolling. I'm like, wow, that could be Murtala Muhammad. That could be the airport in Abuja, in, Port Harcourt, Warri, wherever, We have the capacity. It's not that we don't. Because if you look at what's going on right now at Murtala Muhammad, as much as comparing it to, the grassroots level to where we came from, we could be a lot further. We've come a long way. And the fact that this is possible in the short span of time in which it happened, like even just during COVID 2020, I was here. Between then and now, so much has happened. So it's possible. It's doable. And I feel that then that should be the goal, to get to that point where we can compete on an international level.
Thank you very much for breezing in to let us have a comparison of what goes on outside our own boundaries. And I believe from that, we learn to better our best.
Yes.
So keep flying the flag of our nation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Well, you've had it. we want to make sure that in all aspects of our human life, we better our best. Infrastructural development in most of transportation is germane, be it at state or national level. That way, we can move forward and be able to do things based on global practice. Well, till next time, continue to be your brother's keeper, and bye-bye for now.